What does it really mean to be human? It's one of those huge questions, right? Well, today we're diving into a text that doesn't just ask the question, it actually tries to answer it with a single, universal standard for every single person. Let's see how they build their case.
And it all kicks off with this, the fundamental question. What is the actual, meaningful difference between us and animals? Now, this isn't just some late-night philosophical debate. The text argues that how we answer this has massive, real-world consequences.
And yeah, here are those consequences. The argument is that without a clear, functional standard that separates humans from animals, we could open the door to treating each other as less than human. It's a pretty chilling thought when you really think about it.
This brings us to the core of the argument, why a standard is so desperately needed in the first place. Without one, the source is basically saying we're living in a pretty dangerous and confusing reality.
So the author frames this as a severe dichotomy. It's one or the other. On one side, if we have a standard, we get clarity. We know what a human is. But without one, well, that line gets blurry, really blurry. So blurry that, in the author's view, there's no functional way to tell the difference between us and any other life form.
Okay, so if this is so important, why haven't we figured it out yet? The argument here is that most of us are, for the most part, controlled by different factions and ideologies, and this control prevents us from seeing our own nature for what it is, which makes finding a real foundational standard that much harder and that much more critical.
All right, so if we need a standard, what is it based on? The author's entire argument really hinges on one very specific, unique human attribute. This is the foundation for absolutely everything that follows.
And here it is. This is the single characteristic that's presented as uniquely human. It's not about using tools or language, but very specifically our ability to develop knowledge and then, and this is the crucial part, use that knowledge to create material wealth.
And the author is absolutely emphatic about this. This isn't just one important quality among many. No, the claim is that this is the only possible foundation for any general standard for all of humanity. The entire argument is resting on this single pillar.
But wait, where does an ability like that even come from? To answer that, the author introduces this core concept they call our thinking function.
So the idea is pretty straightforward. This human thinking function is the engine that drives our ability to create knowledge and wealth. You could think of it as the source code for what makes us uniquely human.
So what is it, exactly? Well, according to the text, it's not something we learn or develop. It's an innate mechanism we're all born with. It's like the hardware that comes pre-installed, and it runs our unique human software.
Now, to make this idea a bit less abstract, the author actually breaks this function down into specific parts. We're talking about a belief function, a logic function, a sense of mission function, a conscience function, a self-interest function, and an emotional function. It's a really interesting way to map out our inner workings.
Okay, let's put all these pieces together now. We've talked about why we need a standard, we've identified that unique attribute, and we've pinpointed its source. Now we finally get to the culmination of the whole argument, the standard itself.
You can really see the logical path they've laid out, right? It's a step-by-step build. The argument goes, because we need a standard, and that standard has to be based on our unique attribute, then it must ultimately be defined by the very thinking function that produces it.
And here it is, the final definition. A human being is defined not by their actions, not by their beliefs or culture, but simply by possessing these innate cognitive functions. It's a purely internal, almost mechanical definition of what it means to be human.
What's so interesting is that the text ends right there, promising a part 3 that will dig into the real-world application of this standard. And that just leaves us with this big, powerful question. If we actually accept this definition of humanity, what changes? What are the real-world implications? It's a fascinating thought to end on.